Yeah, I did change, and I'm really glad I changed.
This One's Wife. The 10 Mistakes of the Narcissist Duchess. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. The Daily Mail is no great fan of This One's Wife, and with her not particularly doing too much at the moment, it has taken to creating almost a short series, whereby it has individuals speaking about This One's Wife to support the hypothesis that she has been taken from Duchess to D-list. They've seized on the comments that were made by Vanity Fair's former editor, Tina Brown. They've had observations made about her fashion and how that caused somebody to realise that she is more D-list than Duchess. This time, it's the turn of Richard Eden, who reveals 10 mistakes that This One's Wife has apparently caused her to tumble from Duchess to D-list. And I thought it would be useful to not only tell you what those 10 mistakes are and see if you can agree with them or whether you think there are others which are bigger and more noticeable, but also to explain how this links into her narcissism, reinforcing the fact that she is not this calculating uber villain, as some people have thought her to be, but much rather she is an individual that is engaged in a haphazard approach, operating in the moment, which has resulted in the calamitous mistakes that she has made. Let's go through them and see how they fit in with her narcissism. Number 1. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex released the bombshell announcement that they were stepping down as working royals in January 2020, before they had held talks with Queen Elizabeth. Sense of entitlement, absence of emotional empathy. And they had launched their flashy Sussex Royal website, having already applied to trademark 100 items, including pencils and bookmarks 6 months earlier. This was grossly presumptuous, sense of entitlement, and offensive to Harry's grandmother, lack of emotional empathy, insult, who deserved the respect she had earned through her decades on the throne. The late Queen duly banned them from using the royal title. This is demonstrative of the self-absorbed nature of This One's Wife doing what she pleases, thinking about the monetization, residual benefit, without having due regard for the impact on other people. Number 2. This One's Wife apparently hoped that her interview with Oprah Winfrey, whom she had been courting before she married Harry, would herald her entry to Hollywood. In fact, the explosive sofa chat in March 2021 may have helped end her chances of being embraced by America, once again demonstrating her lack of understanding of the way that things work, the collateral consequences of wanting to smear the royal family, and, in effect, also being used by Oprah for her own purposes, with the consequential impact that people thought, hang on a second, don't really like what you're doing here. Yes, there were some people that were taken in and were supportive, but there were a lot of people that thought, no, that doesn't wash with me, that doesn't cut the mustard, and indeed were able to identify the various lies and revision of history that she made mention. Going on national television to attack the family she married into, when she was already estranged from most of her own hypocrisy, backfired horribly. And choosing to go ahead with the interview even though Prince Philip was seriously ill in hospital rubbed salt in royal wounds. Absence of emotional empathy, self-absorption, sense of entitlement. Number 3. Choosing to name their daughter Lilibet, who was born 3 months later, was a crass decision. Lilibet was the pet name from childhood for Queen Elizabeth, used only by her closest family members. Harry and This One's Wife claimed they chose it as a tribute, but a palace source told the BBC that the Queen had not been asked beforehand. Sense of entitlement, lack of accountability. This was disputed by the couple's spokesman. Whatever the case, it came as little surprise that the Queen did not pose for a photograph with her great-granddaughter when she visited the Sussex family at Frogmore Cottage during their visit for her Platinum Jubilee celebrations a year later. She was reportedly so upset by Harry and this one's wife's Lilibet decision that she told aides, "The only thing I own is my name, and now they've taken that." Number 4. After the Duke and Duchess signed their $20 million deal with audio giant Spotify in December 2020, they both appeared on the pilot episode of their podcast, along with a string of famous guests, including Sir Elton John, James Corden, arsehole, and Tyler Perry. However, when their first podcast series called Archetypes was finally broadcast in August 2022, Harry was conspicuous by his absence. This one's wife's decision to present the series alone was a mistake, see parts passim. Spotify thought it was signing a power couple, not a whining former actress. The first series was also the last for Spotify, with one of its executives branding the Sussexes as fucking grifters. Once again, her desire to dole out pity plays and play the victim backfired by showing her to be incompetent as a host, a whiner, and somebody who didn't make very interesting content at all. Number 5. One of the most striking moments in the 6-part 2022 Netflix docuseries Harry and This One's Wife was the over-elaborate curtsy which the Duchess performed to show how she had greeted Queen Elizabeth at their first meeting. This One's Wife may have intended to demonstrate how keen she was to impress Harry's grandmother. No, it wasn't that, but it came across as mockery, which is what it is. And Harry's uneasy grimace as he watched her performance lingers long in the memory. Once again, this demonstrates how she can't read the room. She thinks that she's funny. Everybody else looked at this and thought, "You're an arsehole." Number 6. One of the ways that Queen Elizabeth tried to make the best use of This One's Wife's talents was by inviting her to lead Commonwealth organisations, giving her an international role. This One's Wife was appointed as Vice President of the Queen's Commonwealth Trust, with Harry made President. And when they quit royal duties, the couple declared that they would continue to honour our duty to the Commonwealth. However, their Netflix series attacked the Queen's beloved Commonwealth hypocrisy, with one contributor labelling the voluntary organisation of nation-states Empire 2.0. As then Tory MP Sir Hugo Swire said at the time, this was either deliberate mischief-making or astonishing ignorance. Well, it's quite simply the compartmentalisation of her narcissism, whereby she engages in saying one thing at one point and then contradicting herself later, because her narcissism is only concerned with what is happening in the moment. Number 7. Appearances at scenes of tragedies are always a delicate matter for members of the royal family. But This One's Wife's visit in 2022 to meet the parents of victims of a school shooting in Uvalde, Texas, ran the risk of being seen as a public relations exercise. Instead of waiting for a dignified amount of time to pass, the former actress rushed to the scene 2 days after the massacre, necessity of assertive control and milking it, laying flowers in the full glare of cameras. The fact that her close aide, Mandana Dayani, recently cited the visit as an example of This One's Wife's compassion made it sound like an attempt to burnish the Duchess's tarnished image. See parts passim in relation to the analysis of her behaviour at Uvalde and, of course, her being labelled as the ghoul of Uvalde, all driven by her narcissism. Number 8. Much thought goes into clothes worn by female members of the royal family when on duty, as This One's Wife has publicly acknowledged. So was her $7,629 outfit for a 2021 visit to underprivileged children at a school in Harlem, New York City, the Bouncing Berry of Harlem, or Chairman Mao does New York, really appropriate? The Duchess wore a $5,268 Loro Piana loose-fitting pyjama-style burgundy cashmere coat with matching $1,799 trousers and $581 Manolo Blahnik red stilettos. Public records show that 94% of the children at the school qualified for free meals. Once again, this is demonstrative of the absence of emotional empathy, her desire to show off, her self-absorption, her inability to read the room because of the aforesaid missing emotional empathy. All aspects of her narcissism. Number 9. Everyone knows that Harry and This One's Wife despise the popular press, but that hatred can lead them to make foolish decisions. Eden contacted This One's Wife's office in March to inform them that I plan to run an item about her plans to launch a lifestyle company called American Riviera Orchard. This one's wife was apparently so desperate for the news not to appear first in the Daily Mail that she immediately launched the Instagram page for her company, complete with a glitzy video. If this is true, this shows that the Daily Mail making mention of it was a threat to her control, and she sought to nullify it by rushing the launch, which of course was cack-handed, as I explained in parts passing. 8 months later, the company has still not started selling any goods, and interest seems to be waning. A textbook example of how not to launch a business. And once again, this is all about this one's wife's preoccupation with doing matters in the moment, driven by her narcissism. Number 10. Nothing highlights the demise of the Duke and Duchess's aspirations to be a power couple than this one's wife's solo appearances on red carpets in Los Angeles. While her Hollywood agents might have advised her that she needs to be seen, her royal status is diminished each time that she competes for attention from the cameras with the massed ranks of American stars, sometimes in less than regal outfits. Well, of course, she doesn't really regard herself as royal, save that she likes to continue to use the title. She sees herself as a celebrity. And once again, the thirst for fuel drives her to make these mistakes. Accordingly, 10 mistakes identified by Richard Eden, all naturally as a consequence of her narcissism and the way that it causes her to behave. Do you agree with these 10 mistakes? Do you think there are others? Let me know in the comments section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.